Hi, I'm Barry Sahasian, and this is Bass Effects Signal Chain and Settings. I've been using effects for years. My most important effect is the envelope follower, and let me explain why. Because as a bass player, when a solo comes up and you're ready to play, 50% of the time you get buried. You get buried by the drummer, you get buried by the guitar player, loud keyboard player, and you can never cut through. You play a beautiful solo and it's just mud. So when I found the envelope follower, there was a way to cut through. It was beautiful. It had this high end and you could cut through and add a little treble and get volume, and you could bury the guitar player or the piano player and get through your solo. So it started there for me, 1977. I bought it from a trumpet player, believe it or not. What I did on this video is I started with the envelope follower because it is a dynamic and it has to be first. You don't want it further down the chain because it'll get buried like I did when I first started out. I'm using 4 effects. I'm starting out with an envelope player from 1977 from Electro Harmonics. It was analog and I still have it and it still sounds great. So I'm going to cover that one first. Then we'll go into the modern version of that same effect. So that will be our dynamic category we're going to cover first. Then we go into modulation, an octave multiplier. Then on to the overdrive. And then finally, to sweeten it up, we got a digital delay. I'll go through each one of them, and what I wanted to accomplish is to get them to work together all at once, which is difficult without mudding things up or losing one of the effects. I'd like to show you how I did it, so let's get started. Okay, now what I'd like to do is talk about the tone. And how we get our tone is basically by the range control, which is right here. And if you push this range control to the right, the cue or the pop happens with minimal amount of attack. So basically, by turning the knob to the right, you lose that ability to play softly and not activate the cue. It just happens all the time and it becomes overbearing. I'm not crazy about the way it sounds. This button over here just either adds the bass to the cue sound or subtracts it. Pushing it down makes it, you have the bass sound plus the cue. If you push this up, it really is shallow. And that sound doesn't cut through if you're playing with a band. By yourself it can work, but you know, one of the things I loved about this device, it allows a bass player to play solos with the band behind him. And it cuts through because you have the bass sound and you have the high register, which puts you on the same level as a guitar or a piano, so to speak. And then if you turn the knob to the left, it becomes harder to get the cue sound. You have to dig in deeper, and that doesn't work either. So I scratched a little mark right there. I found my spot that I can be happy with. It comes out to be. I like the ability to be able to attack and the cue kicks in, as well as to be able to sort of control the pitch by the level of your attack. I'm going to use the digital version of the Dr. Q from here on out. Now, as you can see, I added another effect. And it is important to point out we don't want a limiter or compression on this because this is dynamic and it responds to the attack. If you use a compressor, you're not going to get the response that you want. So we're just leaving that out for now. The bass is kind of finicky because of its range, and so not every effect really works that well with the bass, and I've explored a lot of options and I found a few that work very well and a lot that don't. But the octave multiplier, it works pretty good, and it gives you a much needed frequency, the low frequency. You can add to it, and you can add it in a number of ways. Turns out this is an Electro Harmonics item as well. So let's try it out. As you can see, it's got a high filter, a blend, a bass filter, and it has a sub on and off. First off, let's go back and play some notes. let's try the Octave multiplier. See what happens. Okay, so I have the high filter on halfway and the bass filter halfway, and I have this blend on 9 o'clock. It sounds okay. I experimented and it appeared to be a good place to start. So let me turn the knobs a little bit. We'll add a little more of the high filter and see what happens. So it appears that we got a little more bottom and it kept the top. It was pretty nice, you know what I mean? Works good in the lower register, and that could actually be a bass line as opposed to some of the solo stuff I'm doing. And it sounded pretty good. I liked it. This button here, the sub, from what I understand, it adds another level of bass below the note. And it sounds pretty good, I think. We're down pretty low already with the bass, so adding another level of bass underneath, I'm not so sure that I'm happy with that sound, but you can check it out. You might like it. I'll put it down and show you what it does. It goes, adds like a growl. Okay, so I'm going to put it back out of the sub, and we're back to... To me, this is one of the better sounds, but let's explore the bass filter and see what happens. It's in midway, it's halfway up, and let's turn it about 3/4 of the way up and see what that does. It says bass filter, but it sounds like it's adding more bass. It's nice, way up high. It adds a nice low note under it. Can you play fast? Doesn't get muddy. Very good. I like it. I like it a lot. What happens when you play low? These are the kind of the sounds I mapped out before I did this that would be desirable in my opinion, and to give you a general idea of what happens. Let's try an overdrive pedal. That usually works pretty good, and it adds just a little bit. If you use it conservatively, if you push it too hard, it kind of turns to mush. And I start out very lightly and see how it sounds, and then I progressively turn the knobs until maybe I reach my limit of what I can tolerate as far as a dirty sound goes. But anyway, let me play something. Okay, that's without the overdrive. Now we'll try it with the overdrive. You get that little singing sound, you know, which I like to get. You know, you don't get that often on a bass. And okay, I'm going to try all three of these effects together, but when we start getting into multiple effects, 3, 4, 5, you can't predict what may happen. Things change. It don't always work like you expect they would work. At least that's my experience. So let's try this right from the beginning here with just the envelope. Here's one of these unexpected things. Listen to this little buzz going on. Has this little buzz in the background. It's not that bad when you play fast. can't notice it that much, but it's there and it bothers me, but I'll live with it. So let's add the overdrive. Not bad. We'll add the octave multiplier. Since we ran into a little problem there with the buzzing sound and it really didn't sound that strong, I decided to switch up the order of the multiplexer and put the drive after it. So we changed these two, the order of these two, and let's see how this worked out. For right now, I've only got the envelope on. We're going to build it. Let's add the multiplexer. Okay, multiplexer, that's good. There's no any buzzing sound there so far. Now we add the overdrive. Now that seemed to work a little better. It was stronger and it was clearer, and I like it just by changing the order of that. And you know, like I said before, when you get into adding 2 to 3 or more effects, you're gonna have problems. Pretty much you can count on it, but they can be resolved, like we just did this by just reversing the order. We have 3 effects in a row that are all working together well, and I'm going to go over them individually, and individually is kind of the rule that says you're not going to have a problem, just only turn on one effect at a time. So we'll turn these 2 off and see how that works. Okay, let's add the just the multiplexer. That works fine, and you can see that just because it was by itself, there was no problem. Now we try the overdrive. And that works fine. And then we turn all 3 of them on just to review, and this will be the final effect I'm adding to our signal chain, and it is a digital delay. I'm going to start with just the digital delay so you can hear exactly how I have it set, and then we'll move on down, probably in reverse. As you'll notice, I am conservative. I don't like it too wet. I like it medium wet, or maybe even less than that. If it dominates the sound, then the other ones don't have a chance to cut through when you're adding multiple effects at once. And that's what I want to achieve in this video. As I said, be able to use more than one at a time and have it make sense. So okay, now we have to see how they're going to blend together. I'll next put the Dr. Q envelope follower. So that worked well. I mean, you can hear the echo and you can hear the envelope. Clearly, you can hear them both and how they blend together so well. What's going to happen when we use the multiplexer? Let's add that now. That worked well. Once again, you heard clearly, you could hear the bottom from the multiplexer, you could hear the echo, and you could hear the envelope, and they all seemed even. They were mixed nicely. Part of it was, you know, how I adjusted the the effects, but I'll leave that to you to balance. My primary objective is to find compatible effects that work together. So we have one more left to do, and that will be the overdrive. Let's add the overdrive. That was a nice addition. It got that singing sound, and you know, the bass doesn't commonly get that. That's reserved for a guitar player, but not really. I just did it. I feel as though I still maintained the nice balance of all four effects, and you can hear them. Not any of them is overriding the other one because I adjusted it, and that would be something you would have to do, but now you know some effects that'll work together. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe naturally. Hit the bell to be notified of videos yet to come. Like and comment. And I thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you again.